Focus is not a personality trait, it's a decision. It's not a skill you're born with, it's a discipline you choose daily. Most people keep waiting for more time, more resources, or more clarity, but the truth is, you don't need more time, you need more focus. You need the kind of laser focus that cuts through excuses, breaks generational limitations, and produces a version of you that your past would never recognize. When you lock in on your purpose, when you commit to the assignment God placed inside of you, you start to move different. You talk different. You think different. You dream bigger. And before long, people who used to know you won't even recognize the you that you've become. Why? Because focus transforms you into your highest self. But you can't become unrecognizable by being casual. You must become obsessed. You must become so committed to your calling that it consumes your habits, your schedule, your conversations, your thinking. Obsession is not madness, it's clarity on fire. It's knowing what you were born to do and refusing to settle for anything less. Obsession is the womb of transformation. You can't casually approach destiny and expect to arrive in excellence. Distractions are everywhere, and every distraction is a decision to delay your breakthrough. Every time you scroll without purpose, every time you entertain gossip, every time you let comparison paralyze your progress, you're feeding the old you and starving the future you. But when you flip that around, when you starve distractions and feed discipline, you begin to access a level of power most people never tap into. Focus is spiritual warfare, because when you focus, you silence the voice of fear. You silence the voice of doubt, and you awaken the voice of purpose. You were never designed to stay the same. You were created to evolve, to grow, to become more. And in that evolution, something has to die. The version of you that was inconsistent, unfocused, and indecisive must be buried so the version of you that is disciplined, relentless, and favored can live. The caterpillar doesn't fly until it goes into hiding, and some of you are in hiding season right now. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being processed. Because when you emerge, you won't be the same. But don't miss this. Your environment must match your destiny. You can't become the new you around people who are still addicted to the old you. If the people around you are more committed to your past than your future, it's time to move. Surround yourself with visionaries, with kingdom thinkers, with people who make your vision feel small because their faith stretches yours. Purpose thrives in the right proximity. And through all of this, faith is the fuel. Focus without faith is fragile. You must believe deep in your spirit that what God put inside you is bigger than anything standing in front of you. When you walk by faith, you don't entertain fear. You don't negotiate with failure. You focus like your future depends on it, because it does. You might not be where you want to be yet, but if you stay focused long enough, you'll become so unrecognizable that even your own doubt won't recognize you. Your family will say, "What happened to you?" Your old friends will relate. Your old habits will feel like foreign territory. That's the fruit of focus. That's the reward of obedience. That's the price of transformation. So today, decide to focus until you're unrecognizable. Focus until your results speak louder than your words. Focus until your discipline drowns out your distractions. Focus until your success becomes your signature, because the version of you that God designed isn't average, isn't timid, and isn't weak. The real you is focused. The real you is faithful. The real you is about to show up. Stay locked in. Stay grounded. And don't stop until everything God promised is your reality. You don't need more time. That's the lie you've been telling yourself. If I just had more hours in the day. If I could just get a break. If I wasn't so busy. But the truth is, time has never been your problem. Focus has. Everybody gets the same 24 hours. The difference between the person winning and the person wishing isn't time, it's what they're doing with it. You don't need more time to build that business. You don't need more time to get in shape. You don't need more time to write the book, start the ministry, fix the marriage, or become the version of yourself you keep dreaming about. What you need is undivided attention on one assignment at a time. What you need is the discipline to stop multitasking your destiny. What you need is the courage to stop running from deep work and start embracing the uncomfortable process of commitment. Because time will never multiply to accommodate your procrastination. It won't expand and make space for your excuses. And it won't wait while you entertain distractions. You've been given enough time to win. The question is, are you focused enough to use it? Every minute you give to a distraction is a minute stolen from your destiny. Every hour you waste in doubt, fear, and indecision is time you'll never get back. Focus is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Focus doesn't require more time. It redeems the time. It stretches it. It magnifies what you can do with what you already have. And if you're serious about becoming great, if you're serious about fulfilling purpose, you've got to stop chasing time and start mastering focus. The people who get ahead in life don't have more hours. They've just learned how to say no to what doesn't matter. They've trained themselves to tune out the noise, and they've decided that their purpose is more important than their preferences. That kind of focus turns average people into high performers. That kind of focus unlocks the extraordinary. So stop waiting for the perfect moment, the ideal season, or the magic window of time. It's not coming. The time is already here. But what you do with it, that's where the power is. Focus isn't about more hours. It's about more intention, more clarity, more purpose. You already have the time. Now give it the focus it deserves. Obsession is not a weakness, it's a weapon. It's the intensity that separates the dreamers from the doers, the ordinary from the extraordinary. Most people dabble in change. They try something new for a few days, a few weeks, and then quit because it gets uncomfortable. But transformation doesn't answer to the casual. It responds to the obsessed. Obsession is what happens when your vision consumes you, when your purpose wakes you up in the morning and keeps you up at night. It's when you stop negotiating with distractions and start demanding results. It's when you lock in so hard on your assignment that people around you start asking, what's gotten into you? And the truth is, nothing got into you. Something finally woke up. You can't casually touch greatness. You can't half-heartedly build legacy. You can't tiptoe around your destiny and expect transformation to show up. Real change, deep, lasting, undeniable change, requires an obsessive level of commitment. You have to want it so bad that quitting is no longer an option. So bad that comfort feels like a trap. So bad that the old you becomes unrecognizable. Obsession means you've drawn a line in the sand and said, I will not go back. It means your energy, your attention, your thoughts, your schedule, everything is now aligned with one outcome. You're not scrolling aimlessly, you're studying. You're not gossiping, you're growing. You're not reacting emotionally, you're responding intentionally. That's the power of obsession. And hear this, obsession is not unhealthy when it's anchored in purpose. When you're obsessed with becoming who God called you to be, with living a life of impact, with breaking generational cycles and building generational wealth, then obsession becomes holy. It becomes sacred. It becomes your fuel. Don't be afraid to be called too much. That's what they always say before transformation shows up. They call you intense, driven, even crazy, until your results speak so loud that they can't ignore you, until your fruit is undeniable, until the old version of you is gone and a new version stands in its place. If you want to truly transform, stop flirting with your goals. Marry them. Commit to them like your future depends on it, because it does. Obsession is the price you pay to walk in excellence. It's the gate you walk through to become everything you were designed to be. So stop holding back, get obsessed, and watch transformation follow. Every dream that dies early is buried in the graveyard of distraction. Distractions don't come to entertain you. They come to derail you. They're subtle, they look harmless, but over time, they eat away at your energy, your focus, and your purpose. And if you don't make a decision to starve them, they will slowly starve your destiny. You can't be focused and distracted at the same time. You can't be building your future while constantly entertaining your past. Every time you reach for your phone out of habit, every time you say yes to something that adds no value to your vision, every time you allow laziness to masquerade as rest, you're feeding the part of you that wants to stay stuck. And the version of you that God is calling forward doesn't have time to babysit distractions. Starving distractions isn't just about cutting off the noise. It's about replacing it with discipline. It's about developing the mental muscle to say no to what's convenient so you can say yes to what's essential. Discipline isn't punishment, it's alignment. It brings your actions in line with your assignment. Discipline trains your mind to do what your spirit already knows. You were made for more. And here's the truth. If you don't control your environment will control you. If your space is cluttered with drama, negativity, and low-level habits, you will never rise above your surroundings. You must become ruthless with your time, unapologetic about your schedule, and intentional with your energy. Because where focus goes, growth flows, and where distraction lives, discipline dies. But discipline has to be fed. It has to be practiced daily. You can't just wake up with it, you've got to develop it. You've got to guard your mornings. You've got to protect your peace. You've got to block out the noise long enough to hear the whisper of purpose. Because discipline thrives in silence, in solitude, in structure. And when you feed it consistently, it becomes your new instinct. The most powerful people you ever meet aren't the most talented. They're the most disciplined. They decided a long time ago that their future was more important than their feelings, that their assignment was more valuable than their appetite for entertainment. They don't get distracted by nonsense because they've built a life around purpose. So if you're serious about becoming the next version of you, the disciplined, focused, transformed version, then make a decision today. Cut the cords of distraction. Walk away from anything that doesn't push you forward. Set boundaries like your destiny depends on it, because it does. Distractions will always be available, but so is discipline. And the one you feed is the one that grows. Choose wisely. Feed the focus, starve the noise, and watch what happens when your life aligns with your purpose. You were never created to stay the same. Stagnation is not your portion. You were designed for reinvention, wired by the Creator to evolve, to adapt, to grow, and to rise. Reinvention is not rejection of who you were. It's the activation of who you truly are. It's not about changing for the world. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be before fear, failure, and people's opinions tried to shape you. You are not stuck. You are not limited. You are not finished. The world may try to define you by your past, but heaven defines you by your potential. Reinvention begins when you get sick of pretending, tired of playing small, and done with shrinking yourself to fit into places you've outgrown. You don't owe anyone the old version of you, not your friends, not your family, not your past. The old you was survival. The new you is strategy, purpose, and power. Too many people are living in outdated versions of themselves, afraid to shed the image, the identity, the habits that once served them, but now sabotage them. But you can't walk into a new season with an old mindset. You can't carry your future with the hands of your past. At some point, you've got to let go of what was and lean into what could be. That's the moment reinvention begins. Not when everything changes around you, but when you change within. You are allowed to reintroduce yourself. You are allowed to upgrade your thinking, shift your priorities, rebuild your character, and restructure your circle. You are allowed to go silent for a season, to disappear from the noise, and to work on yourself so thoroughly that when you return, even your shadow walks different. That's not inconsistency, that's reinvention. That's alignment. That's growth. And hear this, reinvention is spiritual because every time you grow into a new version of yourself, you're honoring the God who put limitless potential inside of you. You are testifying with your life that transformation is possible, that who you were is not who you have to remain, that progress is holy, that evolution is obedience. But you can't reinvent yourself while clinging to what broke you. You have to release it. Let go of the guilt, the shame, the mistakes, and the labels. Reinvention requires resurrection. Something in you has to die. Fear, ego, insecurity, so that purpose can live. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Don't fear the process. Embrace it. Reinvention may be uncomfortable, but so is staying the same when you know you were meant for more. You weren't born to repeat cycles. You were born to break them. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to rise. The world doesn't need a recycled version of someone else. It needs the real, evolved, elevated you to become unrecognizable. Not because you're faking it, but because you're finally becoming it. Reinvent boldly. Walk in freedom. And give the world the version of you that was buried under doubt, fear, and small thinking for far too long. Your environment is not just where you live, it's what you allow, who you listen to, and what you surround yourself with. If your environment doesn't match your destiny, it will eventually sabotage it. You can't grow in a place that was never built for your future. You can't stay in rooms where your purpose is misunderstood, minimized, or mocked and expect to thrive. Sooner or later, you've got to look around and ask, does where I am support where I'm going? Bill, if God gave you a vision, if you've been called to do something great, then everything around you must begin to reflect that greatness. That includes your relationships, your daily habits, your conversations, your media intake, and your physical surroundings. Because destiny doesn't flourish in dysfunction. Purpose doesn't thrive in chaos. Greatness suffocates when it's constantly surrounded by low-level thinking. There are some people who love the old you too much to support the new you. They're comfortable with who you were because your growth confronts their complacency. But you cannot afford to stay loyal to environments that stunt your evolution. You weren't created to remain stuck in the same circles, repeating the same cycles. If the space you're in doesn't challenge you, stretch you, or push you forward, it's not a safe space. It's a trap. Destiny requires discipline. And part of that discipline is curating your environment with ruthless precision. That means creating a space that speaks to where you're going, not where you've been. That means surrounding yourself with people who sharpen you, not drain you. That means silencing voices that feed your fear and leaning into those that stir your faith. Your environment is either feeding your vision or feeding your excuses. There is no in between. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, scarcity, or mediocrity, don't be surprised if you start thinking, speaking, and living the same way. Your surroundings shape your standards, and your standards shape your outcomes. Start asking better questions. Who do I allow in my ear? What am I tolerating? What habits am I normalizing? Because you can't step into a future that looks nothing like your present if you're unwilling to change what surrounds you. It doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you intentional. Growth requires separation. Elevation demands insulation from distractions and contamination. Sometimes God will isolate you, not to punish you, but to protect the seed of your next season. And if you're bold enough to change your environment, you'll be shocked at how fast your life begins to align. Where you're going requires alignment at every level, mentally, spiritually, physically, and relationally. Don't apologize for raising your standards. Don't feel guilty for moving differently. Your destiny is too important to be compromised by comfort. Build an environment that reflects the future you see in your spirit, not the circumstances you see around you. Because once your environment reflects your destiny, your life will begin to respond with supernatural acceleration. Doors will open. strength will rise. And everything that once held you back will lose its grip because you finally decided to grow where you're called to go. Faith is the engine that powers your focus. Without faith, your focus will waver. Without belief, your vision becomes blurry. You cannot stay locked in on a goal you don't believe you're capable of reaching. And you cannot pursue a calling if you doubt the one who called you. That's why faith isn't optional, it's essential. Faith gives you something focus alone can't, endurance. Because the moment you set your sights on something greater, resistance will rise, distractions will intensify, delays will show up, doubt will whisper, and it's in those moments that your focus needs something stronger than willpower. It needs faith. The deep, unshakable conviction that what you cannot see is more real than what you're currently facing. When you walk by faith, you focus differently. You don't base your actions on what's visible, you base them on what's promised. You stop reacting to circumstances and start responding to vision. You're not distracted by delays because you believe in divine timing. You're not shaken by setbacks because you know the process is shaping you for the promise. You don't panic when things look impossible because faith reminds you that with God, all things are possible. Faith silences the noise. It quiets the fear. It grounds your focus in purpose, not pressure. Because when you believe that God planted something powerful inside you, you don't allow opinions to derail your direction. You don't allow comparison to distort your pace. You stay in your lane, you trust your assignment, you focus like someone who knows their steps are ordered, even when the path doesn't make sense. Yet, that kind of faith builds spiritual tunnel vision. Not because you're blind, but because you've chosen not to look left or right. You're not moved by what others are doing. You're not distracted by temporary applause or criticism. You're rooted in something deeper. You're focused not on what is, but on what will be. And understand this, faith isn't passive. Faith doesn't mean you wait around doing nothing. Faith takes action. Faith shows up early, stays late, does the work, and believes while doing it. Faith prays with expectation, moves with confidence, and sacrifices with joy because it already sees the harvest in the seed. If you want to maintain razor-sharp focus, you need more than ambition. You need more than strategy. You need more than talent. You need faith. The kind that doesn't flinch in the face of fear. The kind that keeps showing up when progress is slow. The kind that declares, I don't see it yet, but I believe it's already mine. Because when faith fuels your focus, you become unstoppable. You don't give up when it's hard. You dig in deeper. You don't shrink when it's uncomfortable. You rise higher. You're no longer driven by sight. You're led by vision. And that kind of focus, fueled by unshakable faith, will take you further than talent, connections, or luck ever could. So feed your faith, speak it, pray it, live it, and let it lock your focus in on the future God has already prepared for you. Because faith-fueled focus doesn't just chase destiny, it catches it. The life you're called to live isn't waiting on more time, more money, or more talent. It's waiting on your focus. It's waiting on you to silence the noise, cut off the distractions, and fix your eyes on the vision with unshakable faith. You've got everything you need right now to begin the transformation. But you must make the decision to lock in so deeply, so fully, so relentlessly that the version of you that started this journey becomes unrecognizable. This is the season to break cycles, to outgrow old patterns, to step out of comfort and into calling, to become obsessed with purpose, disciplined in action, and intentional with your environment. The world doesn't need more average. It needs the real, focused, fearless you, the one who isn't afraid to evolve, to walk alone if necessary, and to chase destiny like it's already yours. Faith will be your fuel, discipline will be your anchor, and focus will be your weapon. Because when you focus until you're unrecognizable, everything around you changes, not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. So choose today to leave behind the distractions, the doubt, the small thinking, and the old identity. Choose to rise. Focus like your future depends on it. because it does.